if you open up in London, right? So the 1 hour at 1 a.m. in the morning essentially starts here. So this is the first 4 hours, right, within this 4 hour segment of London. Um, and the primary takeaway thing from here is just essentially acknowledging this drop right here, right? And it's very inefficient, right? Now, another key thing to take away from here is that if we throw time into the equation and note that this is the last 2 hours of this 4 hour segment, right? So 3, 4, right? So now within this, within this, last 2 hour segment here, let's do this. So within this last 2 hour segment of this H4 candle, right? What does price do? Now, if we notice the last hour, right? If we the same ideologies we that I used at the beginning of the video. So this is the last hour of this 4 hour candle, right? So this is the New York hour, right? Now, if we acknowledge that how price essentially opens here and how inefficiently we run on this drop right here, right? So very unsustainable. Now, what's the major sweep here is that we have the previous H1 low, which was here. Right, so previous H1 low is here, but with this being the New York hour, what's this perfect timing for, right? It's first things first to create this H1 H1 low, right? The very first thing price does is open and we sweep a H1 low, but it's very inefficient. Mind you, we have expanded to the downside since the open of London, just open up this last 2 hour segment, right? So very inefficient. So this is now perfect timing for price to create this H1 low, from an H2 perspective. This is perfect timing to create this H2 low, right? And then from an H4 perspective, this is now perfect timing for price to create the H4 low. Right? Why the H1 low? Okay, well, if you break this last 4 to 5 down into a 30-minute segment, if you break this down into two, right? So we break this down into two, right? So the very first 30 minutes of this hourly segment, this is the perfect timing to essentially create this 30-minute low. 30-minute low. Right. So there's just a lot of confluence around time, right? And from here, it's just acknowledging that your optimism comes into play here. And then the continuation. All right. What's really cool about this in particular is that, for one, this mitigation now comes at the start of the next 4-hour candle, right? So if I'm anticipating this 4-hour candle to maintain, what I realize is that in this next next H4 candle, what price is essentially doing now is we are creating price open here. So we are creating, right? We are creating this, right? Yeah. So price is essentially creating all of this here is this H4 wick, the bottom of the wick of H4, right? Which is what I like to see, because if I'm anticipating a continuation from here and for price to go higher, I want this first, right? I want price to be giving me this first at the start of this 4-hour candle, because then I know from here we're creating this H4 wick, right? Price breaks and we literally come back and tap the open of the H4. Open of the H4 right there, and price continues, which is really nice. So, and if we break this down here into an hourly, so 5, 6, 5, 6. Now, what's so beautiful about this hourly segment here is that once this here alone is broken down into a 2 segment of 30 minutes, then now this is the last 30 minutes of this hourly candle of this this is the last 30 minutes of this hour candle mitigating our point of interest, which is now perfect timing for a lot, right? So in the midst of actually creating this H4 potential wick here, within the last 30 minutes of the hour candle that's doing so, we mitigate the point of interest. So this is now perfect timing. This is the last hour of anything becomes the New York. This is like the New York hour, right? It's the last 30 minutes of this hour segment. If I'm anticipating the mitigation of this and for price to go higher from here, then this now is perfect timing for this H1 low to be printed and for price to drive higher.